Just want to do a little channel business here. I'm probably going to blow my load, as it were, on a project that is trying to be as neutral as possible about the MRA versus feminism battle. Because to be honest with you, I'm rather mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I've seen people who I very deeply respect, and not just one person, for somebody who might be watching this video, but many who are saying almost the exact same thing, that men's rights issues are laughable at best, that we should take, or at least implying, that we should take the MRAs as the sum of the worst parts of them. The very same thing that some of these people decry about people who do the same thing for feminism. Now look, I am for feminism because I don't believe that we've achieved equality. I've never said friggin' otherwise. Sorry, I'll talk about that in a moment. I've never said otherwise, and I would never say otherwise because, no, I'm sorry. We don't need radical feminism because radical feminism is self-absorbed, self-interested, and has nothing to do with equality, period. Prove me wrong, rad femmes. Come at me, bros. Or broettes, or whatever you prefer to be called in this case. Because so far, that's all I ever see from your side of things. And you want to destroy things not because they actually are harmful to women or harmful to society, but because you simply don't agree with it. I'm sorry, but even in the cases of the worst of MR, I would say the same thing with the MRMs. Just because you do not like it does not mean that it exists or that it is a known harm. But this offhanded waving we're doing in the community lately, trying to say, oh, we shouldn't listen to those old stuffy old MRAs. They're all a bunch of overprivileged white guys. And no, I'm not trying to do this accent of sorts to insult anybody in particular within my friend circle. I'm just doing it as a bit. Please don't think that I'm trying to single you out because I'm not into the passive aggressive thing. Give me at least a little credit, will you? But when I see different stories, and some of them say, well, okay, yeah, some of this stuff does ruin people's lives, but, and it's always that but that pisses me off, because then it still becomes this, well, what I don't like about the MRA is this. And I'm like, well, that's not what the MRA actually stands for. That's what a bunch of misogynistic, power-hungry dickholes are about. And I don't support those people. Most of the MRA don't support those kind of people who are only upset about women's issues because, oh my God, our power is slipping. Or people who believe that because false rape accusations exist, that they're willing to believe that all false rape accusations all rape accusations are false rape accusations, which is never something I or the MRA ever stood for. But when you factor in the fact that when we're talking about things like, say, pedophilia, that very oftentimes there are major campaigning women's groups or other groups associated with raising funds for victims of sexual abuse or sexual abuse awareness or things, when the idea of female pedophilia comes up, they say, we're not interested because everything has to be about men and men's power trips and men's empowerment, and men must be seen as the aggressors without giving any scientific reasons as to why. Oh, we talk about situational rape of lesbians in Africa, but we're not even talking about situational rape of men in Africa. Yes, it does happen, but no, we're going to get on our moral high horse and say, oh, we're going to be almost as bad as the people we're defaming and say that because of third world problems, men's rights advocates are absolutely just first world whiner babies, and we don't need to listen to them because they don't stand for anything substantial. Because, yeah, their pain doesn't matter. But no, the same kind of pain, the same kind of offhanded waving of female issues, especially associated to rape, that takes precedent. That's more important. Can you see why I am pissed off right now about this sort of topic? Now, not all the people who may have gotten me riled up are 100% saying this, but a lot of it is either in the subtext or it's there because they're pissed off at the worst mouthpieces for the MRAs. And yes, there are out there. And I own up to them, even though I'm not even an MRA. I'm not an MRM, but I care about men's rights as well because for the longest time I've been batting for the feminist team. And that's not entirely bad, but what I've been doing is I've been ignoring things. I've been on a lot of the same power trip most of you have about this thing. Men's rights advocates? The hell is wrong with this world? Men are so privileged, not realizing how absolutely ignorant of a statement that was. And if I'm for human rights, I have to be for the rights of the common man because I've been afflicted by some of this stuff. But it's not because I've been afflicted by some of the stuff that I care so much. It's the fact that it's being offhandedly waved by people who really, really should know better and are acting as if, oh, well, this may be a problem, but what are we going to do about it? Something! Something! But the moment that we dismiss the argument entirely because of the few a-holes in the room who do the same thing when it happens with women, how are you any better? How are you any more moral in this situation? Or, well, no, let's throw out morality because, frankly, the people I tend to run with don't go by that standard, at least not societal morality. But how, at the end of the day, how are you so much better? Oh, because I want to talk about the female issues in a third world country and try to say that if you dare to bring up an MRA issue, you're just a first world complainer? You can eat me. And I'm going to come back to this topic this week with an army of links. And if you still insist that this means nothing, that the mockery of men in rape cases or child molestation cases is okay, the fact that we care about it when it's the daughters, but we give almost no craps about it when it's the sons, when we have laws in place that if the parents disagree with two 17-year-olds getting it on, as 17-year-olds will do, something that some of the people I've talked about in the past or that are attached to this topic have spoken out against, that the parents have a perfect weapon against the boy and not the girl. It's always his fault because he's the aggressor. And when we're talking about things like female pedophilia, they want to say there must have been a male involved. There must have been a male in this situation. She had to be coerced because women can't do that. Women don't do that. They're not abusers. They're not aggressors. They're not sexual deviants. They're not perverts. They're not... Name everything that could be categorized as a man, and women apparently are not that, ever, ever. They're pure as the driven snow. Now, I get it. I do get your side of the complaint. And like I said, I'm owning up, even if I'm not in the MRM or the MRA, that yes, there are some really stupid, terrible, misogynistic, pig-effing parts of the MRA that tend to try to act as if they represent the MRA as a whole. They do not. And to simply dismiss the movement because of their actions, who's the pig effer in this situation then? You know, who's the one who's being short-sighted and acting as if we have every right to have a dirty house here when we can be doing things in this country and trying to do things in other countries like Africa that really need some help when in the cases of things like correctional rape of men and women? It's certainly not myself. I can assure you of that. And if I'm going to disappoint some of the people who are my intellectual betters by making a video with links, with actual documentation of the problems that are there that are really, really a lot bigger in certain cases than a lot of these people are making out, then you know what? Fine. because I'm not going to stay silent on something like this. But at the same time, to address some of the criticisms, I don't think we should drop everything and just focus on MRA activities. When has the MRA itself specifically ever said this? I have not read it. Please point it out to me. Okay, sorry. Trying to center myself here. But I'm mad. I'm absolutely mad as heck. And I think I have every right to be. Because I just don't understand where certain people are coming from and where this animosity all of a sudden is coming from. You know, if we want to go against the rad MRAs, yes, these people are jackasses. But if we're just going to say the whole MRA thing is unsubstantial or there's nothing we can do about it, then I'm sorry, no. I'm going to take you to task. Now, why was I holding this? Well, I've been reading to my girlfriend's kids via video, doing little video readings of stories to her kids because, you know, I'm wanting to be more assuming of my fatherly role since, after all, we are eventually going to get married. And the kids seem to love that, so that's a lot of where my time is going to be going outside of gathering my links for the project mentioned at the beginning of this video. My son played the Dreamcast today, which was awesome because he hasn't played it in a long time, and we played Alien Front Online. And what surprised me about that game is the AI for a game this old was very, very competent. But not only that, I'm still amazed that the Dreamcast holds up so well on this big screen LCD TV. This system was so bizarrely ahead of its time, it's absolutely ridiculous. And my son rediscovered one of his favorite games of all time once more. Moments like that are absolutely priceless, and I think that we're going to have many more moments like that because the Wii U is collecting dust. The PS3 is barely touched these days, though it's probably the most played. And the 360, well, I've kind of forgotten how much time I've spent on it. But between the Mad Max mod, my research projects, things I'm doing for my girlfriend and her kids, because I do really, truly love her, and I'm growing very attached to her kids as they seem to be growing towards me. You know, I'm trying to move myself in further directions with my eye on the prize for the summer, for getting into my classes, getting myself so much closer to that career so that I can get myself off any kind of government assistance. Not that I'm on it yet, but I've got bills to pay, guys. I've got responsibilities that right now I can't take care of being in this state that I am. And basically, we're just going to try to get everything done. In the next couple years, I hope to be in a nice, comfortable career doing something that I'm really good at out of the cavalcade of the jack of all trades that I tend to be. And, you know, getting paid for it and working my way towards a life, more permanently, a life together physically with my girlfriend and her kids so that I can read them bedtime stories in person instead of in the video. Because I know they would wish to do video conferencing like that, but again, with some of the problems I'm having with my system here, that's not exactly doable. But aside from that, I'm doing pretty okay. You know, I'm just very, very disturbed and angry at the trend, the growing trend that's happening right now, and I refuse to let something like this stand unchallenged. I mean, people like Yes I Am James have started to take on this conversation, but I'm going to add some fuel to that fire because I'm sorry. I'm not going to stand aside and let people who I care about belittle something that I care about, even if I'm not in the club. And even if I don't necessarily want to be in the club because of groupthink and other issues that I tend to have with major clubs.